phone as well, so bear with me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm in the bedroom today because my husband is hosting a one-shot D&D campaign for someone's birthday. So looks like I can see everything. So welcome. Welcome, welcome. Alright. It usually takes people a few minutes to get here, so we're just gonna start off slow. Welcome. This is AMA, Ask Me Anything with Jess D Cosplay, where I answer questions about my cosplay experience. As you guys can tell, I am not in my living room today. I am actually in my bedroom. As I said before, my husband is hosting a one-shot D&D campaign for his friend whose birthday is a few days before mine. So, welcome. I hope you guys are doing well today. And let's get started. Oh, You good? The cats are currently locked in here with me, as I didn't want the noise to distract my husband, who is, like I said, hosting a campaign. Though Artemis kind of looks like she's about to fall off the bed. Artemis, I love her to death. She's not a very smart kitty. But that's okay. She's adorable. And we're just going to watch her fall off the bed. So, how are you guys today? I see we got, looks like at least 2 viewers popping in. Again, feel free to talk about or ask your questions. I'm keeping an eye on both the Instagram and the Facebook chats. Apparently she's not falling off the bed. She is just playing and getting comfortable again. Who knows? Alright, so how are you guys today? I hope you're well. What should we talk about today? You're familiar, yes. Sailor Moon has Luna. I have 2 of them. I have Artemis and Apollo, which I have named after the Greek twins of the sun and the moon. So yes, Apollo is a bit of a douchebag. Not gonna lie, he's very mean to Artemis sometimes, and Artemis, well, Artemis is not very smart, but she's a lovable kitty. She likes her cuddles when she's not terrified of you. She's a bit of a scaredy cat. But yes, we all have our familiars. I have not actually dressed these 2 up before, though I have when I had Bella, my chocolate Siamese. She was dressed up once or twice as Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro, a Miyazaki film. I'm a big fan of Miyazaki. In fact, I got for Christmas a Miyazaki collection, and that was really cool. I haven't actually watched the ones yet that I haven't seen, but, you know, been busy. Life. Lots of things I want to accomplish. But that's okay. Things happen. So, how are you guys today? Hello. I see we've got some people who've popped in on the Instagram side. We got a couple popping in on the Facebook side. Hello. Welcome, welcome. So, I'm just gonna start randomly talking about cosplay. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. I'm no expert by any means. I mean, I may have been cosplaying for about 10 years now, started, but I'm still by all means a beginner. I just love the hobby. It's amazing for me, and I really like that in most cases, people are very welcoming in this community, and that is something that I feel is really important in the cosplay community, because it's, though nerd interests and sci-fi and cosplay and comics and stuff are getting more and more popular these days, we used to be a niche, a community that was frequently looked down on because we were weird. And, like, I love my mom, but she did not really understand when I got into cosplay. However, she got a little more interested in it and when I started doing Disney characters, particularly Princess Anna, as then she found a way that she could relate to me because my mom is a huge Disney fan. And that's one of the things I really like about cosplay is you can bring in so many different interests in cosplay. Like, I don't know if how many of you follow my Facebook page, but you'll see that I've been sharing other photographers, other cosplayers, dungeon masters, streamers. Like, all of these people are part of our community, not just the cosplayers. And that's something, like I said, that I really enjoy about the cosplay community because it is, for the most part, a very, very welcoming community where people can share their interests regardless of where it is. Like I said, I've been doing it for about 10 years. I started sometime in college, I would say no later than, I started in my freshman year, but I got really into it, or started more in the second year when I decided to host an anime convention at my college called JCon. It's at Elizabethtown College. I'm hoping that when COVID is done, or more settled, more safe, that the convention at Elizabethtown will continue. However, I do recognize a lot of the small conventions. Hi, babies. My cats don't like being locked up, but again, he is hosting a D&D one-shot, so I don't want to disturb that. But like I was saying, I hope that JCon and the other small conventions will survive this pandemic. However, I recognize that many of them, unfortunately, will not continue or be reopened, reorganized after the fact. We can only hope and hope for the best. Again, hello to those new viewers who are coming in. I hope you're doing well. So, as I was saying before, the cosplay community is a community that really, in my opinion, is open to everyone, regardless of what you look like, your race, your height, your weight, your ability to walk. Like, just, I remember this really amazing Link cosplay that was in a wheelchair, and they looked fantastic. They loved the character. It was just amazing. Like, it's something that I feel brings people together. And unfortunately, we do all have our elitists and snobs and stuff like we do in every community, but for the most part, I have been at least lucky in my experience that I have avoided them. And they've, everybody's been very welcoming for the most part. And thankfully, the majority of the cosplay community is like that. And it's not the majority that are causing people to feel left out. Unfortunately, we do have that, and it's something that, unfortunately, every community has, but overall, we've had a very positive community. People are pretty quiet today, maybe busy. I know it's, we all have our time. I just try to do this regularly, because I know a lot of people have been enjoying the cosplay aspect, so again, feel free to post your questions. If you don't have any, I'll just continue talking. But again, if you have specific questions, please do not hesitate to ask me, and for the most part, I'll answer the best that I can. So, recently, some people have asked what my goals are. I, as many of you know, I'm a teacher, and I have a condition called fibromyalgia, which does make me very exhausted, can be a little painful sometimes, and that's okay. And that's one of the things I was saying about the cosplay community is that it is very welcoming, and it's something everybody can do. Whether they are if they have a lot of money or not, whether they have, you know, the resources to get what they want. Like, sometimes it's just as simple as, like, if I'm having a bad day, like, especially Sundays of convention, I'm exhausted after going all out the first day or two, I'll put on a pair of cat ears. Or a really simple cosplay that doesn't require me to put in a lot of effort. So, like, one of the cosplays I often do on a Sunday is Elle from Death Note. Like, sweater, jeans, a wig, like, pale myself out, maybe put a little black under my eyes. Like, it's a simple cosplay. And it's something, like, it's not a heavy costume, so, like, it doesn't cause me as much pain or things like that. And so that's something that's really good about cosplay is, like, there's a way for everybody to do it. I've seen some who, like, kids who, amazing parents who, like, they might be in a wheelchair, maybe they broke their leg or something that year, falling out of a tree or something, and, like, for Halloween or convention and stuff, like, their parents will deck out their chair with, like, cardboard and paint it to make it look like a vehicle from the show that they want to cosplay, things like that. Like, there's so much that you can do in the cosplay community that allows everybody, regardless of their situation, to cosplay. A lot of people are like, well, I can't afford it, and it's like, find a character, a simple character that looks like you, or something you like, because there's a lot of costumes that you can just pull out of your closet. Like, I already had the Mocha Acacia cosplay from Rosario Vampire, and I took pieces of that costume and stuff from my closet to put together my Mizure costume, and, like, people loved it. They love my Mizure. I don't know why, but Mizure is a really... Hi! Welcome! But, so yeah, it's really nice that a lot of things can come from your closet. See? That's why they call it closet cosplays. But, like, my Elle comes from my closet. The only thing I really needed to buy for my Megadine Luca, like, that was a dress from my closet. Let's see. So, yeah, so my friend made me the flower crown for that, and then I took the wig from Mocha again. So, it's really nice that you can take pieces of different characters and pull stuff from your closet and have a whole new costume. Another way to make the most out of it, yes, closet cosplays are great for the budget and the imagination. And this next thing I'm going to mention is a good way, like, say you can buy maybe one or two costumes, but you can't buy a lot. There are so many high school animes. Like, I do the school uniform from Love Live, for example. And literally, all I had to do, that's 9 different characters, okay? I haven't done all 9 yet, but that's 9 different characters, alright? All I had to do was buy the 2 other, so I originally got Honoka, because I was doing it with a friend, and so I had to buy the 2 other ribbons for the different years. So, I had the freshman year, I needed sophomore and junior, so I have the 2 ribbons. So I just had to buy the 2 other ribbons, and I had to buy 9 different wigs. And I still need to get Nico's wig, but, and Rin and one other, I think. But by buying 9 different wigs and maybe a few hair accessories, Like, with one costume that I bought, and just a few extra accessories, I now have 9 characters I can play. Instead of having to buy 9 different costumes. And so I really like the school uniform ones. That was a good one, Love Live. But though Love Live does have a million costumes, and unless you're doing the school uniform one, they're all like very different. But My Hero Academia has a gym uniform or school uniform that a lot of the characters wear that you could do. I haven't watched a lot of anime recently, but those are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head that you can do. But yeah, school uniforms are great for budget cosplays because, like I said, you can buy a few extra wigs or accessories and have a whole new character. My newest for Love Live was Kotori. I had to buy a wig, which I actually got for Christmas, and the hairpiece, which I also got for Christmas. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, so I'm just like budget cosplay there. Another thing is if you say you have one that's falling apart, you can't really use it anymore. That doesn't mean you can't use pieces of it for those who build pieces of it in something else, depending on the colors and the contrasts and stuff. But definitely more generic things, like say you get a sword, like I have this simple hard styrofoam, like plastic, it says styrofoam, but it's like a hard styrofoam sword that, it's pretty simple katana, but that one sword can be used for a whole bunch of different things. So that's always good. Items like that. Gems. I like gems. I had gems for Tosaka Rin cosplay, which I used for like Tosaka's magic. But also, I could use those gems later when I did a pirate costume with my coworkers, and I had to buy the costumes, but I already had this treasure chest that my husband had, and I took the gems from Tosaka and threw them in the treasure chest. I just found treasure for my pirate costume, I have a dragon from Imaginarium Galleries, and I love it, but I use it kind of like as a prop for like my pirate. I can do is like a dragon bat for my like a vampire. So accessories. Good question, but I will finish my comment and then I'll answer that question. But yes, accessories can really make or break a cosplay. And though they add to the overall cost in the beginning, they are phenomenal for really, especially those who are like me. Sorry, light from the window. But those who are like me, who loves pictures, like accessories, amazing. So we have a question, and it's how does one find a convention-safe prop for your costume? That is a very hard question to answer because it is different for every convention. So first you need to research the convention, find their rules because some conventions are stricter than others. Even when I organize cosplay meetups for like in a park or something, like you still have to be really careful with picking your props, especially the weapons. Anything over 6 foot is usually can be very difficult. Some conventions have restrictions on the size, so if it's more than 6 foot, it may be rejected. No live steel. As much as I love the more realistic weapons, you can't really bring them. I usually go with wood if I'm bringing a weapon, but There are still conventions that will restrict wood weapons because they can still hurt someone. Like, you can still bash them pretty hard with them because wood is heavy. But wood is definitely a safer option. Most places will go with prefer styrofoam, which is why I got that styrofoam sword. Though it was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be, so I do have concerns that it may be rejected at some point, but styrofoam is usually safer to work with when you're going with a prop. For characters with bows, they will usually ask you to unstring the bow if it's a more realistic one, so they don't want anything that can snap and hurt someone. So usually if you have a bow, you will be asked to unstring it. Let's see, other convention safe props. Nothing sharp and pointy. Like, I have a set of Sai for Electra that was actually another cosplay for the most part. And I have a Sai from her, and when I bought them, I did not realize they were real steels. So I had to go buy a cheap, less pretty set of Sai that I'll use for conventions, but I have the metal Sai that I can use like in a private photo shoot. But even if you are going to use like more realistic ones for like private shoots, carrying them, like, I live in New York City, so I take a lot of public transit, and like, you need to have something that's either it's in a box, especially if you're using steel or like more realistic weapons. Like, it needs to be wrapped in something so it's not visible, or hide in a backpack depending on the size, because, you know, it can make people uneasy. But small objects like gems are perfectly good for props, necklaces. I've used balloons, though usually you can't have too many of them, especially as they pop. Flower crowns are fine for that. Like, any like thing on your body is good. Wings is another thing to consider. They're usually allowed in conventions, but it will make it more difficult to get around. Like, you can see I have a nice pair of wings on my wall here from that. Unfortunately, I have not gotten to use because of COVID. But, like, that's got a bit of a wingspan to it. So, like, you need to be careful moving around, so do be careful with wingspan or, like, the size of things. Otherwise, I'm not sure I can say much more on, like, convention-safe props. Also, something to consider is people, no matter what you say, you're going to get bumped. People are going to try to touch it, especially, like, the really cool props. So you have to be prepared to deal with that when you are at a convention. It's less of an issue with more private shoots and meetups, but for those of you who have fancy big props, you know what I'm talking about. People are always going to be like, oh my god, that's so cool, can I touch it, can I see it, can I hold it, can I try it? One, you're allowed to say no. Make sure you understand that you are allowed to say no, and they need to respect that. But if you are on the other side and you are a attendee, and you see a really cool costume or prop, and you really want to check it out, ask. And be respectful if they say no, because many of these props are very, very fragile. Something for another, since we're on the topic of props, is, for me, it is worth, hi Rachel, it is worth spending a little more money. Like I said before with costumes, like, quality over quantity. If you spend a little more money on the prop, especially for those who buy like I do, I'm unfortunately not very skilled yet with crafting, But if you're going to spend money on a prop, it is worth spending a little extra to make sure you're getting quality so it doesn't break immediately. Like, even I have a $70 sword, which is on the nicer side, and still relatively cheap, but it's a wooden sword, but we've had to re-glue it before. The parts of it together, because it started falling apart after a few years. Granted, I'm not the most gentle person, and I've dinged it up a bit. So, there is that. But, yeah. That is that, and do be careful with your props, especially the big ones. We got about 4 more minutes, so I don't see any more questions on either end. Like I said, quiet day, and that's perfectly A-okay. But yeah, props are fun, accessories are fun. I really, like I said, love costumes where all I have to do is change the wig and I have a whole new character. Thank you, Love Live. But I don't own wigs. I actually hate wearing wigs. If I could pull off my regular hair here, which I have terrible bang cut right now because I cut them myself and they're a little uneven, but that's okay. It doesn't look too bad. But wigs, there are ways to, like, I've sewn in clips in the front so that I can clip the wigs to my bangs and hook them here so that it holds the wig in place. However, that is a bit uncomfortable. Like, it's a great way to hold wigs in place, especially heavier wigs, but that means that it is going to be pooling on your hair the whole time. And that will cause headaches. So it's like a give or take. Ooh, Gundam wing. Let's see. I want to make sure it... But, I do like Gundams. I have not actually really watched Gundam Wing. I think I've seen, like, an episode of it. I do like the characters, but I'm not as familiar with it. The Gundam I'm familiar with is G Gundam, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, the one that I watched a lot for the Gundam series was G Gundam, but I'm always willing to try out all sorts of things. So I wouldn't say no necessarily to Gundam Wing, but I'm not as familiar with it. Like I said, I followed of the Gundam series, G Gundam was the one that I watched as a kid. Otherwise, like I said, I believe I was talking about wigs, yes. So again, those clips are great to sew in, fairly easy to sew into, but they will give you a headache if you're prone to them. However, when you have really, really heavy wigs, like I have so much trouble keeping a wig on, like I just can't figure out where to put the pins and stuff. I'm hopeless. They are useful. But, yeah, it's what it is. It's one of the reasons I prefer shorter wigs, because they don't slide as much. If you're going to get a heavier wig, the ones with the ponytails on one side or in the back are more likely to pull than the ones that have the pigtails where it's pulling on both sides, so it helps balance it out. Otherwise, like I said, it depends on your character, but that's something to take in consideration when you're getting a wig. I do not see any more questions, and it is now 2:30. So that is the end of AMA. Thank you guys. Thank you, Anthony, Rachel, and all the rest of you who came in. Thank you guys for your questions, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful end to your weekend and have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Take care.